Welcome to The Explainer. You can't hold it, you can't touch it, and for a lot of people, it's just plain confusing. So today, we're going to tackle the big question. What makes a simple string of digital code worth, well, billions of dollars? Okay, let's get right to the heart of the puzzle. We're talking about assets built purely from code, stuff you just can't physically hold. So how in the world does something like Bitcoin end up with a value bigger than the entire economy of some countries? Where does that value actually come from? Well, it's not just one single thing. You can think of it more like a set of powerful ideas all stacked on top of each other. It's this combination that creates the value. So let's break them down one by one. All right, let's dive into the first and maybe the most important piece of this puzzle, this really cool idea called digital scarcity. So think about it this way. With regular money, governments can just print more whenever they feel like it. But a lot of cryptocurrencies, nope. They're designed from the ground up to have a fixed, limited supply. It's a bit like gold. There's only so much of it in the world. And that's not an accident. It's a core feature. And for Bitcoin, this is the magic number, 21 million. That's it. That is the absolute maximum number of Bitcoins that will ever exist. It's literally written into the code. So you have a fixed pie, and as more and more people want a slice, what happens? Basic economics tells us the value of each slice is going to go up. And this whole idea of a limited supply really creates two different kinds of crypto. On one side, you've got your deflationary ones, like Bitcoin, with that hard cap that's designed to help it hold its value over time. And on the other side, you have inflationary ones, where new coins are always being created. For those, the value really depends on demand growing even faster than the new supply. Okay, so being scarce is a great start, but it's not enough on its own, right? I mean, a super rare rock is still just a rock. For something to have real, lasting value, it actually has to be useful. It has to do something. And that brings us to our second pillar, utility. So what is utility? Well, it's all about what crypto can actually do in the real world. We're talking about things like sending money anywhere on the planet without needing a bank, or creating what's called programmable money with smart contracts. Basically, money that can follow a set of rules all by itself. It even lets you prove ownership of digital things like art using NFTs. The more useful it is, the more problems it solves, the more valuable it becomes. And smart contracts are a huge part of that. The best way to think about them is like a super smart vending machine. You meet the conditions, you put in the right coin, and boom, the product comes out automatically. Every single time. You don't need a clerk, you don't need a lawyer, you don't need a banker. The code is the contract, and it just works. Okay, so now we have something that's both scarce and useful. So what happens next? Well, as more and more people start to use it, its value doesn't just grow, it explodes. And this leads us to our third pillar, the network effect. There's actually a name for this. It's called Metcalfe's law. And the basic idea is that the value of a network doesn't just grow one by one. It grows exponentially. The more people join, the way more valuable it becomes for everyone. Just think about social media, right? 10 friends using it is kind of fun. 1 billion people using it, that changes the entire world. I mean, picture the very first telephone ever made. By itself, totally useless. But then you add a second phone, and suddenly you can have a conversation. Now add 1 million phones, and you've got a global network that's essential to modern life. It's exactly the same with crypto. Every single new person who joins, whether they are a user, a developer, or a business, they make the whole system more secure, more useful, and more valuable. All right, on to our final pillar. And honestly, this one is the most unpredictable, the most human. We're talking about trust, belief, and raw emotion. See, normally, we put our trust in big institutions, right? Banks, governments. But crypto flips that script entirely. The idea is, don't trust people, trust the math. The code is open for literally anyone to look at and check for themselves. It's a massive shift from trusting a person in a suit to trusting a transparent algorithm. But let's be honest for a second. The underlying technology is one thing, but those wild up and down price swings you see every day, a huge part of that is driven by pure speculation. It's just people betting on whether the price will go up or down based on hype, news, and sometimes just a gut feeling. And that whole roller coaster is basically fueled by two incredibly powerful emotions. First, you've got FOMO, the fear of missing out. That's when prices are shooting up and everyone rushes in because they don't want to miss the rocket ship. And then on the flip side, you have FUD, fear uncertainty and doubt. That's when some bad news hits, people panic, and everyone starts selling. I mean, if you want the perfect example of this, just look at Dogecoin. This thing literally started as a joke, but then its value just went to the moon, driven almost entirely by community excitement, social media hype, and yeah, a few celebrity tweets. It's a wild reminder that in this world, sometimes sheer collective belief can create value, almost out of thin air. So, to wrap it all up, what makes crypto valuable? As you can see, it's not one simple thing. It's this really fascinating mix of all four of these pillars working together. You have the hard-coded logic of scarcity, the real-world usefulness of utility, the incredible power of the network effect, and layered on top of it all, the totally unpredictable, powerful force of human emotion. And that really leaves us with one big final question to think about. If a global, multi-billion-dollar asset can be created just from lines of code, built on these ideas of scarcity, utility, community, and trust, what does that tell us about the future of value itself? What does it even mean for something to be valuable anymore?